go ahead and bring on two amazing people, Cristina Williams, Diamond Level Associate, and just a fantastic rock star, and Dan Doyle, Ambassador Triple Diamond. So let's go ahead and take this off the slide, and we can just go to and have these guys share with us. And
I'm just before they come on, I'm so excited you were here to listen to Dr. Hayes. So thank you all for being on the webinar today. Yeah. Dan, did you have any comments following up from that, or Christina? Thanks for joining us.
Just about done our presentation and our training that we were going to do. That was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, we wanted Dan and Christina to share with us.
And Ed's joined us.
Oh yeah, and Ed invited Ed to jump on, maybe here with you or at the end of your comments. But we're obviously in an extremely interesting time. This is history in the making for sure. And Dr. Hayes kind of mentioned some things in terms of the uniqueness of the time for what we've got, but I really wanted you guys to elaborate on on how we can build and grow our business during this time, and the importance of helping people both physically and financially.
Yeah, I mean, these are unprecedented times. I mean, who would have thought since our last call only 4 weeks ago that things would have evolved the way they have. Here I am in Hollywood, in Los Angeles, and they couldn't even write the script for this. It's just amazing what's going on. We've been in lockdown here for a fair while now. I mean, we haven't really left the house much for a whole month. And I suppose, and this is where we're sharing the importance of what we have and the opportunity with this home-based business. So I've just made a few notes, and I'll go through this. I mean, it's funny, I was talking to Christina and trying to get onto her this morning, and she literally got out of bed only 10 minutes before the call, which is a great example of what we've got our hands on and the vehicle that we've got and how we can move this. So I'm going to talk about pre-pandemic and the advantages of having a home business. And a great example to start off with, I mean, what are we trying to achieve here with building a business like this, building a home business, building any business? We're trying to achieve personal freedom, time freedom, and like I said, Christina was a great example, but I stayed in my pajamas as another example. So, I mean, it's great not to have a dress code as well when we're actually building a home business. But yeah, let me go through this. And as I said, this is pre-pandemic, and then obviously Ed can jump in, and Christine, when it comes to the opportunity we have going through these times. So guys, we don't have a boss, and I love that fact. I mean, I was the boss of my own businesses all my life, and I gave you a great example of dress code, which I am in my pajamas still, which is a great thing. I actually saw there was a Jimmy Fallon on last night talking to Adam Sandler, and Adam Sandler goes, "Have you had a shower today?" And they just start laughing because I don't think Jimmy Fallon had a shower. I've had a shower today, by the way. I just got back into my pajamas. Yeah, time freedom. So there's no set time work schedule, obviously. There's no office politics. I mean, the great thing is, we have to ensure with a network marketing home business anyway, we ensure people's success. The more people are successful, the more successful we are. So we're not working and fighting against each other. So in other business, we don't have any risk in our business. There's no overheads. We don't hold any stock. There's no staff. And I got some stats. The average American's traveling 348 hours. So I'm going to keep going. This is pre-pandemic. Not too many people are traveling these days. I remember traveling many hours per day, per week to make my job in Sydney, but 230 hours anyway for the average Australian. All we need to do as far as a home-based business is have drive, we have discipline, and a little bit of time management skills. And that's all we require to move a home business forward. Now, obviously, when it comes to making money, we keep the money that we make. I mean, obviously, we need to pay tax on that, but it's a simple principle. The harder we work, the more money we make. So our earnings is a direct proportional to our performance. So We don't have to wait for a pay rise. We can give ourselves pay rise and promotions. I remember traveling the world when we did and going on holidays with Suzanne and lying on the beach. We used to give ourselves a pay rise while lying on that beach all the time. The harder we work, the more we produce, the more money we're going to make. The great thing about a home business is that we're not wasting money driving anywhere on fuel. We're saving money on making lunch, you know, going downstairs. And I'm having a great time making my various different soups every day, and it's my breakfast. And with what we're doing here, so I'm in a totally, like, we used to build a business from home. We're still building a business from home. The only thing that's changed is we haven't got that social, physical interaction. So right now, you know, things have changed slightly, but they haven't changed too much. But I've got more into a routine, and I'm working a lot more than I've ever worked in my life with what's happening in these times. So preparing lunch and breakfast is a big deal and a big treat for me. And I said to Bart yesterday, even going out to pick up the mail or even you know, something that's been delivered, it's just it's a different world. We've got a huge opportunity, increased opportunity, better opportunity than anybody else has ever got with the business model that we have. So we can create our own income producing opportunities from a little room like this in our own house. Finding a good job is very hard these days. Keep in mind, I'm talking about pre-pandemic. We are in a shrinking economy, guys, right now. There's 6.6 million people here in the US actually applied for unemployment benefits last week and 10 million last month. So for the month of March. So these are unprecedented times, and it's just amazing what's happening. Tax advantages from working from home. I mean, there are so many tax advantages from building a business under your own roof. You can deduct, I mean, it all depends on your market, obviously, and what country you're in. You can deduct anything from a percentage of your mortgage to depreciation expenses from building a home business. So all that sort of stuff, anything to do with your business, insurances, utilities, expenses from household maintenance. So all these things are tax deductible. More time with the family. I mean, this is what we're here to do. We're here to create time and build this time freedom. So, you know, and I've heard this from people in the past. I think Nicole Dennis was talking about when her little girl was sick and she was there at home with her and she didn't have to go anywhere. She didn't have to come home from work. So it's incredible what we can create on that side of things as well. So dropping off, I don't have children, but dropping off your children at school, picking up your children whenever you want to pick them up, spending more time in general. Opportunities for professional and personal growth with a home business. Being your own boss gives you the chance to wear so many hats. You are the CEO of your own company. You can be a marketing professional, sales director, strategist. You can be the business development manager. You can be all these things, and you're going to pick up all these skills from building a home-based business. This gives you insight into and experience with all aspects of running a business, exactly like a traditional business, but you can put every single hat on. Increased productivity. So now you no longer have to budget time and energy. So for commuting and cessation of useless meetings. I mean, we go and have meetings when we used to be able to have meetings with this business, but it's not necessary. 98% of what I did building this business in Australia from that bedroom at home was literally picking up the phone, doing three-way calls or doing things like this. So we don't need that social interaction to do this. We can do this in this with what we're going through now. And launching your home-based business can be an opportunity for you to give birth to your own passions and hobbies and creating money generating outlets. We are in the hottest industry in the world. I'm sure Christina will elaborate on this, that after this time, when we come out of a recession, a depression, whatever you're going to call this, whatever this is going to be, we are going to have the best opportunity. Normally, network marketing companies absolutely thrive. So our customers, people that use these products, that want our products, are everywhere. We can tap into anyone and absolutely everybody to build our business. And it's a matter of sharpening our skills and plugging in. We've got to get used to what we're going through now. Is it going to be for a month? Is it going to be for 3 months, 6 months, or a year? And we need to adapt. We need to adapt as quickly and as soon as possible, especially for you guys who are on this call from Asia. So with me talking about adapting, I'm going to pass on to Christina now to talk about our opportunities now, post or during this pandemic. I've just talked about pre-pandemic and the opportunity we had. We've created a safety cushion and insurance policy. We've done pretty well with what we've built. We are in a blessed and very fortunate, and I'm so grateful for the position we are in. But we didn't see this coming, but we have experienced things in life that has put us into a situation to make us hungry enough, put us into survival mode to be able to build this business to cushion the blow with what we're going through now. So everybody's got the same opportunity. Don't wait for it. Don't wait for this to be over. Don't sit on your hands and expect that something great's going to happen. Just go out there and create it now. Now, guys, we've got the vehicle to do that. Over to you, Christina.
Thank you. Thanks, Danny. And yes, thanks for announcing to everybody that I usually do roll out of bed and start something 5 minutes later, but in my defense, I work late, but that's the freedom, you know.
And you look amazing for jumping out of bed.
Oh, it's amazing what a little bit of bronzer will do and a lippy that's right at your computer. You know? Look, that's the freedom, isn't it, that we develop by building this kind of a business. And I too am filled with immense gratitude, as Dr. Maureen said, that ASEA came into our lives, and for whatever reason, even though I've made some terrible decisions in my life, I just accidentally made a good one here, you know. And I hope that you're here listening because you've either made a decision or you're about to make a decision that you can also look back on and say, wow, thank goodness during that season of uncertainty, I made changes in my life that now have impacted the rest of my life. It is true that during this season, a lot of people will be impacted with, we're hearing the saying, this will impact people for the rest of their lives. But it doesn't have to be negatively. Your life can be impacted positively right now. A lot of people are making decisions and having to pivot and reinvent. And ultimately, this is wonderful for us because we are in the business of helping people make decisions. I repeat this every day when I'm coaching people. I don't see myself as a salesperson. I don't have to sell something that we are the only people who have it. We have no competitor. So we can relax on the having to sell kind of feeling, and we can actually identify ourselves as educators. That's how I see myself. I'm an educator and a pioneer. We're not salespeople. We're not doctors. Well, Dr. Maureen is, but the rest of us, we're just people educating and pioneering. And we, as professional network marketers, we're in the business of helping people make decisions. Now, it's really interesting when we coach people, oftentimes, this is one of the things I've noticed, people ask the wrong questions. When they're looking at what will I do next, or gosh, what do I do right now with my life, which is something everyone's asking in this environment, they're often saying, oh, well, what am I good at? Or what do I feel like doing? Or what is already within my skill set? And these are, if I can be blunt, the wrong questions. The only question that matters is, will this thing give me the results I seek? Will this bring me closer to my goals? When I looked at ASEA, I was in it wasn't a time of a pandemic, but I was certainly in a crisis. It was a crisis in my house. I was frustrated. I had no income. I had no education. I had no money to invest. Nobody would employ me because all I could put on my resume is I've had 4 kids. You know, I was in the middle of a crisis. There may as well have been a world crisis because for me, my world was falling apart. And when I looked at ASEA, I wasn't sure if I was good enough. I didn't know if I was Malcolm's sword. I didn't know if I knew the right people. Until one day I didn't care anymore. I didn't care. I didn't care if I couldn't do it intellectually because in my heart and spiritually, I was going to anyway. And the current environment is a pressure cooker. It has put a lot of people into the knowledge that they are on the wrong vehicle. It has put a lot of people into the spotlight of having to pivot and do something next. Maybe they've realized that they're on the wrong vehicle, just like I realized 3 years ago, I was on the wrong vehicle too. And what people have been saying they don't have to do something different, time, we now have it. But how are you going to invest it? It may surprise you to know that network marketing professionals are the highest paid professionals in the world. Did you know that? I mean, I know people on this call that are earning absurd amounts of money, and that you really couldn't match another profession next to them or entice them with another career. The second highest paid profession, by the way, is professional sports. And we all know that you can earn a lot of money, but it just doesn't last, unfortunately. So it is the highest paid profession in the world, but you have to engage. You have to engage and make a choice about what you're going to do. Now, there is a three-line saying that I love. We decide what we want. This is the secret to getting whatever we want. You need to know what you want. You need to know what the price is, and then pay it. I know you've heard that before. Now, I like being fairly direct. And to be honest, I think we have to ask ourselves, have we made a decision? Because some of you on the call maybe haven't made a decision. You've made a suspicion. You suspect this could be a good thing to do. You suspect this could be a good idea. You suspect there's money here and that this is a great opportunity. But it's time to engage, and it's time to connect with other people that are ready to engage. Because I promise you, success will not surprise you. It will not creep up to you on the couch and make you drop your remote control. It will not shock you. You have to expect it. Now, the world is in a stage of transformation, and this is the last thing I'll say because Danny covered so much, so great. But the world is in a state of transformation, and we have a vehicle for transformation. This doesn't mean we jump on people and say, boy, have I got a business for you. We have to work with compassion. It's not about jumping. It's about connecting. It is about connecting. And I'm loving the people that I'm connecting with, people I haven't spoken to in years that I'm just sending messages out to or receiving messages from, just saying, babe, how are you doing? How are you guys holding up in New York? What's happening in Paris? I'm connecting with friends and realizing what a rich, broad network we have. And then my role is to be a solution when they ask the question. And my role is to be able to help people see a light in a moment of darkness. And I encourage you, if you're feeling a little bit stuck and a little bit hands tied, remember that there is a story that you will tell out of this pandemic season. There is a story you will tell. You know, what did you do during those 6 months or during those 3 months? There is a story that you will tell in 3 years' time, in 5 years' time. And the story that you tell about this time could be, that was the making of me. It was because of that pressure. It was because of that time that I finally took the vehicle I had in my hands and I did something that has changed the rest of my life. Without that situation, maybe I wouldn't be where I am today, years down the line. And people will not believe you. People will not believe you until they see you march forward. You can't attract people that are engaging in this opportunity if you're still only suspicious about it. You know, I'll tell you, I know the borders are closed right now, and obviously it's very hard for my husband and I to see each other, but we know that it'll pass and we'll be back to taking big lines at customs. But I'll tell you something that happens to me every time I come into the USA. I get this string of questions. It is like absolutely word for word each time. I'm sorry, how often do you travel here? What, you're here a couple of times a month? You're here? Wow, that's really often. But what do you do for a living? They can see the passport. They can kind of figure out it's costing money. And then I go, oh, well, you know, I'm a pioneer in a field. They give you that much time off. Oh, no, I'm self-employed. I give myself this much time off. I just need a Wi-Fi. You know, people can't even wrap their heads around what this opportunity will give you. It's either network marketing professional, elite sports person, maybe drug mule. Like, they're the only things that they think, you know, that could give you that level of income. And I'm being silly, but this is the time when you can set up that kind of a platform and that level of freedom. And other people are looking for it too.
Wow.
What's some beautiful gold nuggets you just shared with me. I just took a whole page of notes.
Thank you, Christina.
Yeah.
You're amazing. Both you and Dan, thank you so much for sharing with us.
You're welcome.
Really important. So
good to be here in our pajamas together, isn't it?
Well, we're not going to stand up so you can see from the waist down.
Shorts on underneath this.
Yeah. So we'd love to introduce Ed, because only Ed could follow you two. So, so Ed, thank you for joining us. I haven't seen your face for ages.
Well, it's nice to see yours, and it's great to be with you. I could listen to Christina and to Dan and Maureen for minutes, hours on end, but it's always a pleasure to connect with you and the the great Australian team. And you know, it's interesting. There's people that go through life looking for the cloud in every silver lining, and there are other people who look for the silver lining in every cloud. And it doesn't seem to matter what kind of circumstance that is an adverse circumstance. There's a silver lining. I have a nephew that is in the roofing business, and whenever a tornado comes through their part of the country, or a hailstorm where it might be devastating to some people, it's make money time for him. It's heyday, because that he gets the chance to step in. And so, you know, I feel sorry for God, because he's got people praying for hailstorms and people praying for not to have hailstorms. What's he supposed to do? But there's a great silver lining when those things happen. And we're in a time right now where obviously I feel bad. I look down here just at the street below me at the merchants, the entrepreneurial people who stepped out and they bought inventory and they've got shops that are open. I see restaurants that some of these are, they're not gonna survive what we're dealing with right now. And I almost feel a little guilty in the fact that there's such a silver lining for us to this cloud that it almost seems unfair. But that's the unfairness of our business, where we have a product that everybody is looking for the benefit of what our product provides. They may not know about it, but there isn't anybody out there right now that's not more heightenedly aware of their need for strong immunity or for better health. Everybody knows it. They don't know that the answer to that's going to come wrapped in a blue bottle. People today are probably more mindful of a plan B than they ever have been. And again, they just may not know that the answer to that prayer is going to come packaged in a network marketing opportunity. So we have what people are looking for. And Bart, we've talked about fishing. We got to learn how to package what we have in a way that looks appealing to what they need, what they're longing for. And but this is a huge silver lining right now to this cloudy set of circumstances. Back when you and I got started in this business, Bart, we couldn't have survived this kind of a devastating set of circumstances. Back in the payphone and fax machine era, we would have been as shut down as any other brick and mortar business is today. We couldn't have got out, we couldn't have met. And so today to have this business against the backdrop of what we're dealing with here, where we're using the technology that we're communicating through right now, this is an unbelievable gift to us to have this company, this product, this business, the landscape of technology that we can take advantage of today. I mean, it would have been devastating to us in our previous network marketing life. And here, we're on a record pace. I mean, our company in North America, I don't know what the numbers were for Australia, but here in North America, we had the 2 biggest weeks in our company's North American history, the first 2 weeks of March, when people are freaking out. And we're on a record pace here, which is really amazing. So, you know, I just echo everything that you've heard in terms of advice from Maureen, Maureen and I have been friends a long, long time back from our previous networking world. And I've come to really appreciate Dan and of course, Christine more recently, but and you, Bart and Melissa, obviously we're just, we brought from the same tree. I think, you know, one of the mantras that it's the drum I constantly beat with our team is to make sure one of my guys took a note and did this little doodle note during one of our team calls: get under the spout where the information comes out. And so I think if you're going to be engaged in this business in this day and age, probably more than any other time, you've got to make sure that you're under the spout where the information is coming out. And if you're a leader, you're creating spouts. Christina, I sent you a list today of webinars just for the next 10 days. And there's almost every day now there's something where you can access from the comfort of your home, your device, wherever you are. If you're out and about walking outside or in your car, you're able to access information today that's almost, in fact, we're stepping on each other. There's sometimes things happening, two at the same time, but there's a ton of information out there that's coming your way almost every single day. Webinars, team calls, coaching calls, and so forth. And so I just say, this is a time for us to model, to resist the buy-in to the fear and panic that people so readily grasp. This is a time to model the kind of faith and optimism that I think should be characteristic of us. And I think truthfully, it's built into us. It's built into the creation to be resilient and to be adaptable. We're coming up next month, will be 40 years since the eruption of Mount St. Helens, which was a volcanic eruption in Washington State. I lived there. I lived about 100 miles north of it, and the explosion rocked my windows 100 miles away. It was an amazing explosion, and it was devastating, absolutely devastating to the terrain around there, to a beautiful, pristine lakes in the mountains. I mean, literally 1 cubic mile of that mountain disappeared in that explosion. And I remember that happened in May, and in the fall of the year, when the steelhead, which are trout that have kind of gone to the ocean, and they've gone to the ocean for 6 or 7 years, they come back up the rivers and they go up the stream where they spawned and lay their eggs and die. It's just kind of the cycle of life of fish. And so that fall, September approximately, the marine biologists were freaking out because the spawning grounds on the Toutle River were just decimated. I mean, full of mud and silt and glacial, there's no way. And so that fall, when the salmon run, the steelhead run, began to come up the Columbia River, then they go up the Cowlitz River, and they were freaking out what was going to happen when they came to the mouth of the Toutle River, where they had been spawned 6-7 years before. And to their amazement, these steelhead bypassed the mouth of the river where they were spawned and went up and spawned up a different river. And it blew the minds of the marine biologists, because I'm saying, look at what God did. I mean, he built that kind of resiliency and adaptability into the creation. And I think we have that in us. And so what circumstances are devastating to a lot of people, to us, it's a chance to model the resiliency and the adaptability that's built into us. And we need to step up and model that. While people around us are freaking out and they're losing their minds and fearful. And I understand there's some fearful and concerning circumstances. But for us, it's a time to just realize that we are adaptable, we're moldable, we've got a resilience that we can come through this to the point. We're going to come out of this stronger. I mean, your country, our country, we're going to rebound from this. We're going to look back and see, yes, that was an unbelievable set of circumstances, but you know what? We survived it and we thrived through it. And we're going to be a testament to those around us that, you know what? Next time, I better drill my well before I need it. And I better be looking for a network marketing company so that I can come through this like the Dan Doyles and the Cristina Williams and the Bart and Melissas and the Maureen Hayes, and be ready the next time this comes around. So I just say, you know, the picture on my Facebook page right now is just the word adaptability. This is the time to be flexible and adaptable and realize that, you know what, this is tough, but we're going to make it. One of the a famous preacher years ago wrote a book, Tough Times Never Last, Tough People Do. And this is tough times, but we're tough people, and we're going to make it.
Beautiful message, Ed. Thank you. And we really do have a message of hope for sure, physically and financially. And I think we just really need to spread that message. So thank you for sharing that with us. I appreciate you jumping on with us today. And thanks again, Dan and Christina as well.
Thank you, Ed. We're so grateful. Give Rebecca our love too. And I could listen to you forever. Always so wise.
Hey, the time is rolling here, but we wanted to share with you guys just a little story about what happened with us.
Yeah, just recently.
Yeah, so it wasn't long ago as this whole crazy situation was just developing. This was 3 weeks ago now. It's been 3 weeks. Yeah. So we were flying from Maroochydore to Sydney. It was actually Melissa's mother was having a 70th birthday party, great big birthday party. We had upgraded our tickets. We were in row 1 in the plane, flying in first class. And about halfway through the flight, Melissa looks over at me and she tells me that there's a lady sitting directly behind us who is really struggling. She was on an oxygen mask and gasping for air, and really, in fact, I think you mentioned, so I'm not sure she's not going to make it. And after we landed, they shuffled people around, and the flight attendant was helping her and so forth. But
we got on the plane and
we got on the plane. We didn't worry. In fact, when we got on the plane, because of the situation and just knowing, for example, that ASEA, I don't know if people are aware of this, but the way they clean their manufacturing facility is actually with ASEA because of the incredible cleansing benefits. So knowing that, we have a spray bottle we travel with. We sprayed the air around us. We sprayed the seat. We sprayed our tray tables. We sprayed our hands and faces and so forth when we got on, just as preventative. We do that every time we get on a plane. So when we got off the plane, we didn't even really think about it. We didn't worry about it. But interestingly enough, it was 3 days later, we got a call from the...
I received a call from the Department of Health, and they asked us to go home straight away and self-quarantine because there had been somebody on the plane who, given the circumstances today, wasn't in good shape, and unfortunately that poor lady became a statistic. So I asked, where was she sitting, and come to find out, long story short, they wouldn't tell us, but anyway, the poor woman behind us didn't make it. And her daughter had brought a gift from the United States and passed it on, that made it onto our plane. Not to put down the United States, but that's just how our story wound up. So anyway, they dropped off masks for us, which was pretty amazing for bureaucracy. Obviously, they thought it was serious enough to, after working hours, come and drop masks off at the Hilton Hotel where we'd been staying in Sydney. And anyway,
we weren't about to self-quarantine there for 2 weeks at $4.50 a night.
Yeah, so we made it home the next morning. We were very careful. We came home, but pretty much the moral of the story here is we absolutely know what you have your hands on with ASEA. So we never for one millionth of a second ever doubted that we wouldn't be well, that we wouldn't stay well. We knew we'd invested in our health, and we knew what that investment meant. And the other thing that Ed was talking about, we absolutely made a decision. There was no way we were going to participate in the mental virus that's going around today. We thought, so I don't watch news anyway. I mean, people have to tell me what's going on. We live in a very quiet country sort of street. So self-isolation, by the way, is an absolute dream come true for me, being an introvert. I love it. I don't miss anything. So long story short, we didn't participate in the mental virus, and we decided, we're in charge of our thinking, and it all starts with us. And I guess the message really is we're so grateful that we have redox signaling molecules as the foundation for the investment in our health. And we're so grateful to know that, because we are so fortunate with our business and the opportunity that you as our team has all provided for us, we know we're going to be more than fine. We know we can thrive at this time, but it comes down to not participating in the mental virus. So it's at a situation for a lot of you where you're hungry right now. And Dr. Hayes pointed to something that's really important to me. And Christina mentioned it too. When you're at that crossroads, when you're in a time where it can be a crisis, don't catch the mental virus. I remember watching a show a few years ago when I lived in the United States with Bart. It was called I Shouldn't Be Alive. I don't know if any of you have seen it, but it was case studying people who really shouldn't have made it. Like, for example, random thought, but a gentleman broke down in a boat and he got eaten by alligators to get to the shore. He fell asleep under a tree, got all his skin eaten off by fire ants, and he was in the middle of nowhere. And you watch these stories, and the theme is they never once ever accepted that they weren't going to make it out, that they weren't going to live, that they absolutely wouldn't accept any circumstance. They were hungry, they wanted to live. They were going to get out and they were going to do everything it took. They didn't sit there and think to themselves, this tree is where I'm going to die. So capitalize on that hunger. But my advice is don't make a decision for your next course in life from a position of panic or fear. Sit down, and you have the most beautiful gift right now to get clear on what is your ASEA why, what is your life why, and get really in touch with that and move forward from that place, because that will change everything. And use that hunger, use it to help Virtus get this message to the world, like what Christina and Ed and Dan and Dr. Hayes have done. So anyway, that's our story. We didn't let anyone know we were self-quarantining, pretty much because we didn't want people to ring us and ask us how we were, because we knew we'd be great and we want to focus on it. But anyway, that's it from us.
Just realize you've got something very powerful. We take ASEA with us. We came home. We drink more during this time as well. I think if we go anywhere, we just spray it on anything that the ASEA on anywhere where there might be anything to be concerned about.
And she drinks a bottle a week.
Oh yeah, she drinks it down. She loves ASEA.
She does. So thank you everyone for being here. Hopefully, as I'm sure you will, really gain some inspiration and some direction. Please make a decision to, as Christina said, this is your story. We're in a movie theme today. You get a chance to write your script, and only you can write it. Don't allow other people to write the script for your life for the next chapter you're about to write, because it's in your hands. Get quiet, go inside, figure out what it is, and you'll come out bigger and stronger and greater and better and more empowered and inspired than you've ever been in your life. So we're looking forward to you having that experience. So
absolutely. So
I'm on a rant.
No, that's great. We got a few more things that we want to cover with you before